Welcome to Verona Quartet's Hot Tips for Chamber Music Playing, where we delve into the finer details of good ensemble skills. Today's hot tip: good quartets start together, great quartets finish together. Our special guest today here to share with us a little bit more on this subject is violinist Sibbi Bernhardsson.
Hello, my name is Sibbi Bernhardsson. I'm professor of violin at Oberlin Conservatory. And prior to that, I spent 17 wonderful years as a member of the Pacifica Quartet.
Good quartets start together, but great quartets end together. Sibbi, what does that expression mean to you?
Yeah, that's a very good statement. And of course, I agree with it. Actually kind of reminds me, or I feel like it's just similar to basic good sound production. I mean, I think we tend to start notes together well, but we often don't end notes beautifully. And I feel like sort of that concept of sort of starting and ending a note beautifully is sort of the basis of just good sound production. So then I do think actually that's very much the case. We're often so focused on starting that our cutoffs are not always great. And but then on the flip side, I remember, I think it was actually Paul Katz who told me the story that he said when he met the Budapest Quartet that they say you spent the first 10 years focusing on playing together, and then you spend the next 20 years trying not to play together. So then there's maybe something to that as well. But yes, we have to start together, we have to cut off together. And then, as silly as it sounds, I think it's the day of a concert. I think it's incredibly important to make sure that the first thing that the audience hears is just so engaged and so great. Of course, you try to do that with the whole quartet, whole concert. But I often think like when you start, just like really focus on getting a great opening, because that sort of sets the tone for the whole concert. And then I think it's equally important that you maybe just put extra effort in the sort of the rehearsal or the sound check process, making sure the ending of each piece, especially the last piece, is just spectacular. It just gives you a different kind of focus, I think. And then also, you want to make sure the first thing that people hear is right away engaging and sense of commitment, and the last thing they hear as well.
So in the rehearsal room, what would you say is the one technique that's the most useful for practicing ending notes together?
Well, that's a good question. I don't even know if I know if there's any kind of specific technique. I think is just being aware of it and listening, and like not just like if intonation doesn't bother you, you're not going to play in tune. If not starting things together doesn't bother you, you're not going to start together. So if not ending things together or addressing it, if it's not something that is value, probably not going to happen. I think just identifying that it's important, I think that's the first step. And then like listening for it. And then, you know, there are probably just habits, like people will sort of, in every quartet, people have different tendencies. Some people just tend to use faster bow. Some people tend to use slower bow. So maybe once you've identified that, in order to end the notes together, you know, whoever tends to play faster bow, maybe play a slower bow. Whoever plays with slower bow, maybe play a faster bow. But I think the most important thing, it has to bother you. You have to hear it. You have to be committed to starting and ending together. That would, I guess, be the best practice technique I can think of.
So when you're playing a chord and you know that you want to match to somebody else, what are you thinking about? What's in your mind as you're trying to match to somebody else?
Trying to match with somebody else. But then it's like, I sometimes use the terminology, you know, I use this terminology, eyes up. The most important sense is, of course, listening. But if we only rely on listening, you're also relying a little bit on luck, and that can be scary. So like, let's say if there's a cutoff, if I'm just committed to, like, let's say we've decided that the cellist is going to control the cutoff. If I'm committed to watching the cello's bow and left hand and vibrato, then I just feel so much more confidence that I will do it. So that would be one, you're listening, but you're also committing to, like, you know, watching. And when I say eyes up, I mean watching the bow, watching the fingers. So I commit myself to that. And then I feel confident that we'll both start and end together.
So it sounds like there are three things to think about: eyes, ears, and heart.
I guess heart, ears, eyes. But like this close to each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy rehearsing.
And together.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we have to start together and end together. So you want to give us a cue? Okay.
Happy rehearsing.
Okay. Happy rehearsing. That was so cheesy. One more time.